The Ford Focus RS, here painted nitrous blue, claims the crown among the hot hatches vehicles for both everyday use and sport driving. It has huge air intakes, 235 Michelin Super Sport tires, and a Brembo brake on the front axle, a large rear wing, and a diffuser with two large tailpipes.
Endlich.
Our car tester Andre Zimmerman has been looking forward eagerly to the Ford Focus RS. Ford's engineers have given it not only lots of power, but also intelligent all-wheel drive. Beside the gear shift knob are the buttons to shift among drive modes, with a choice of normal, sport, and two other modes designed for restricted roadways, namely racetrack mode and drift mode. The latter is a novelty in this segment and unique among compact sports cars. Andre can't wait to let the car rip. But first, he has to reach the track, so he's going to start with normal. The Focus RS has 257 kilowatts of power, underscoring its claim to the throne of the hatchback realm. With a top speed of 266 kilometers an hour, it will leave most cars on the highway in the dust. The power comes from a 2.3-liter EcoBoost engine. A similar engine is in Ford's current Mustang, but the EcoBoost was thoroughly revised for the RS. Our car tester is impressed with the very direct steering. He likes the stiffness and resistance, which isn't so extreme that steering requires strong muscles. The car moves forward well, but Andre says he can't resist the temptation to leave normal mode for sport mode. Sport mode provides aggressive throttle response, even stiffer steering, and a more aggressive sound. In sport mode, the all-wheel drive also provides more power for longer periods to the outside rear wheel in curves, and the result is impressive. Andre can hardly contain his enthusiasm for the all-wheel drive. Just when you think you can't take the curve any faster, the outside rear wheel pushes even more. And when the weather leaves the road wet, like today, you really notice how the rear adds power. The car doesn't understeer. To provoke understeering, you really have to whip the steering wheel around. Andre is thrilled at how the Ford Focus RS handles.
Also handlingmäßig absolut super der Ford Focus RS.
We've arrived at the Valencia racetrack. Andre explains that we'll be using a different car, not because it's painted like a racing car, but because it has Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tires. Michelin and Ford collaborated to tailor this semi-slick tire specifically for the Focus RS to provide maximum grip on the racetrack. Andre wants to see if that's true and what driving in racetrack mode is like. The racetrack mode automatically adjusts the suspension to be 40% stiffer. Even hobby drivers get good lap times with it. The electronic stability program shifts to a special sport mode, but it can be manually shut off. Andre says track mode is initially less playful than sport mode. You have to know what you're doing, but the car provides lots of feedback, and the mechanical grip is very good, so all your options are open. If you let up on the gas pedal, the rear turns a bit. So, to a degree, you can steer with the accelerator. Andre can't get over the grip, which allows him to really play with the car. He warns that a driver should feel his way into controlling the vehicle, but the chassis is really very, very competent.
Aber das ist wirklich ein sehr, sehr kompetentes Chassis.
Racetrack mode is for fast lap times. If you want to accelerate from 0 to 100 faster than a Porsche 718 Boxer, use the launch control.
we're going to put it in drift mode.
Yes.
So what we're going to do is we do this all in first gear.
Yes.
We're going to drive into the circle.
Okay.
We're going to start to turn.
Yes.
And once we're going to be about 2 meters from the cones.
Yes.
Only doing about 25 kilometers an hour, quite slow.
Uh-huh.
We're going to start the turn, and maybe when we're about by the Michelin sign, I'm going to shout gas.
Okay.
When I shout gas, give it full gas, all the way to the floor.
Yes.
Back end will come round, catch it, and then just literally playing with the steering, turning tighter, turn it looser, and maybe feather the throttle, but you don't have to. See how we go, yeah?
Okay.
That's it, start the turn, a bit more turn, and then full gas.
Yeah. Oh, this is amazing. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Andre is sad that his test drive with the Focus RS is over. He says Ford has done a fantastic job of bridging the gap between a car for ordinary driving on ordinary streets and one you can perfectly control in extreme situations. The competition has nothing like it, and the Focus RS comes with a price tag of just 40,000 euros. Well, that's to acquire the vehicle. Operating costs are another matter because for drift mode, first you need a restricted racetrack, plus there's greatly increased wears on the tires, and your fuel consumption will exceed the new European driving cycle emission guidelines. But hey, think of all the fun you'll have. Car tester Reinhold Deisenhofer says that serenity didn't wait for yoga to come along to become a cherished virtue. It's also helpful when driving, so why not be polite and drive defensively? It saves fuel and calms the nerves. It's also a good attitude when buying a car. We don't need the most powerful engine. Money saved can be invested in features. A case in point, the Seat Alhambra with a reasonable engine, but many clever features. The Seat Alhambra has been popular with price-conscious families and business travelers for years. They value the car's spacious and modifiable interior. For our test, we've selected the least powerful Alhambra model. The 1.4-liter TSI has a mere 110 kilowatt output, but uses only 6.4 liters per 100 kilometers, according to Seat. Additionally, this Alhambra comes with the Style Plus feature package. We want to see if saving on the engine and splurging on features pays off. Reinhold says saving 5,000 euros on the engine has allowed us to get many features, like appealing body paint and a luxurious interior, like electric sliding doors and an electric trunk lid, as well as 7 seats. This allows for 32 different seating positions, along with plenty of interior space. The car has trunk capacity of up to 2,340 liters. Our Alhambra has comfortable seats, ideal for long journeys. The instruments are neatly arranged and clearly structured. A decorative strip in a carbon look creates a sporty feel. The 7-seat model with a lowered trunk floor offers plenty of space. There are endless possibilities for arranging the seats. The car's exterior hasn't been redesigned much. It looks similar to a VW Charan. The rear lights now use LED technology, and the Alhambra's grille and headlights were reworked as well. Reinhold's verdict is clear. Serenity and luxurious features beat a powerful engine. If you don't always have to get from A to B quickly, then investing in great features rather than horsepower makes sense. The Alhambra combines these two worlds, so it's no wonder it was just voted Business Car of the Year.
Kein Wunder, dass gerade zum Firmenauto des Jahres gewählt wurde.
The success story continues. The Seat Alhambra and VW Charan dominate the sliding door station wagon segment. But the Alhambra is cheaper than the VW. In Germany, the basic model will cost €30,065. Readers of 2 German magazines have voted on which cars they consider most economical, safe, and fun. They picked the Opel Astra, the Skoda Superb, and the VW Touran. The Opel Astra was voted best compact car. It is lighter, slimmer, and more efficient than the previous model, but also offers a lot more interior space. The Skoda Superb was voted best sedan for providing the greatest interior and trunk space in its segment. Improved aerodynamics and reduced weight also make it up to 30% more fuel efficient. And the VW Touran was voted best station wagon. Its higher wheelbase gives passengers even more space inside the 7-seater. It comes with a multi-collision brake and a passenger protection system that automatically tightens seatbelts in critical situations. Over the past 2 decades, Motorcycle World Lake Constance has become the leading trade fair for motorbikes in southern Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. It showcases all the latest products and trends. This year, 807 bikes were on show, including 47 new models. There were 20 different shows. The 3 days in late January were a taste of heaven for bikers. Journalist Andreas Ilk says classic styles continue to be in this year. Bikes with a retro look are all the rage, but customized and reconfigured to fulfill the owner's wishes. The BMW R9T is one such bike, a pure, authentic design with plenty of customizing options. This Ducati Scrambler embodies the principle of less is more. The design is a mix of the traditional and the modern. The look is a tribute to the wild 60s, while the technology is cutting edge. Kawasaki may be renowned for its sporty modern bikes, but its Vulcan S and Vulcan VN 900 also have a clearly retro look. Andreas points to technical advances such as cornering ABS, which lets you brake hard even while leaning into a bend without losing control. That is a huge advance. Another safety feature is the gear shift assistant. So far, only BMW has had it, but this year other manufacturers are set to introduce it. It lets you change gear with a simple kick without using the clutch. Very practical in rush hour traffic. This year, the Best Bike Awards sported the motto, Tuned and Pimped. 24 distinctive customized bikes were displayed. They boasted all kinds of special features. This one is made of wood, and it even works. At the fair, there was a special exhibition on the history of the fabled NSU brand, put on in cooperation with the German Bicycle and NSU Museum. It showed legendary motorbikes from the 1960s, including some great racing models. And then there were bikes that just make you long for summer, like this 3-seater electro tricycle by Riwako. It is the first electro trike to boast 100 kilowatts and a range of 120 kilometers. The Slingshot by Polaris is a fun trike for two. Its top speed is 220 kilometers an hour, and it takes just 5.6 seconds to go from 0 to 100. Think how nice it would be to take it out for a spin on a warm summer's day. Car tester Chris Castillo says the trend has been for cars to get taller. The upshot is the sports utility vehicle. One example is the BMW X3. The next stage was to reduce the height a little and give them a beautiful coupe-like profile. The best example is the BMW X4. We are testing the X4 with the 225 kilowatt X-Drive 35i gasoline engine. Like the X3, the X4 has a 3-liter inline 6-cylinder engine that yields a peak torque of 400 Newton meters. Both the X3 and X4 have 8-speed automatic transmissions. BMW says each has a combined city and highway fuel consumption of 8.3 liters per 100 kilometers. When it comes to sprinting from 0 to 100, the coupe is 0.1 seconds faster than the X3, and the X4's top speed is 2 kilometers an hour higher. So, in technical terms, the X3 and X4 are closely related. But while the X3, which debuted in 2003, has the typical boxy shape of an SUV, the X4, introduced in 2014, embodies BMW's new design concept, that of the sports activity coupe. The roof's highest point is above the driver, then it slopes gently lower to the back. The X3, with its classical SUV profile, has the bigger trunk, with 50 more liters of capacity, or 200 more with the rear seats folded. The interior of the X4 is sporty, uncluttered, and elegant. A variable sports steering and a sporty suspension setup are standard. Compared with the BMW X3, the X4 boasts more agile driving dynamics. Both weigh in at 1.9 metric tons when empty. All X4 models are fitted with the intelligent X-Drive all-wheel drive system and performance control as standard equipment. Performance control adjusts power distribution between the left and right rear wheels. That helps improve traction and steering. Handling is lighter and more precise. The X4 is 4.67 meters long, about 1.5 centimeters longer than the X3. It is about 3.5 centimeters lower. The designers have given the X4 larger air intakes and character lines in the front apron, which indicate the power of the huge sports coupe. From the side too, the X4 has a distinctive profile. It is the first model in which BMW has divided its typical swage line in two. Our car tester says the coupe profile reduces headroom in the rear, and the trunk is small too. If you choose a car like this, it is usually a decision that is driven by emotion. And purchasers of this stylish sports activity coupe are evidently willing to pay quite a lot more money. While the starting price of the X3 is 38,000 euros in Germany, the entry-level X4, which does have a more powerful engine, costs close to 46,500 euros. Matas Kurat will take us through the Shanghai Auto Museum today. China has become the world's largest car market, but motor vehicles have been driven in the Middle Kingdom for quite some time. We'll see some of them now. From the start, the museum presents us with a riddle. Where are the Chinese cars? Everywhere you look, you see European and American vehicles from the history of the automotive industry. Big riverboats from the United States. Little sports convertibles from Britain. Even cars made by arch-rival Japan are on display. But Chinese curiosities? Nowhere in sight. Our search for Chinese cars takes us somewhere else entirely. This is no car, says Matas. Anyone can see it needs to have horses harnessed to it. It's a coach, and this must be one of the most luxurious coaches ever. It was built shortly before Carl Benz invented the automobile. By the way, this coach was also produced in Germany, just like Benz's vehicle with its internal combustion engine. The Isetta was originally Italian, but BMW built it and made it famous. The Messerschmitt bubble car, the NSU Sport Prince, and the VW Beetle were all common sights in Germany in the 1960s, but not in China. This museum could leave you with the impression that Shanghai has the most extensive collection of German cars in the world, but still no Chinese cars. Will we find any soon? If a foreigner wants to drive a car in China, says Matas, he or she usually needs a special Chinese driver's license, which involves lots of bureaucracy and a Chinese driving test. But here in the Shanghai Auto Museum, you have another option. It's only at a simulator, but you can select whatever kind of vehicle you want to drive. Matas says he'll try out a Chinese delivery truck. It probably drives better on the simulator than in reality. Another option, drive a slot car. But here too, the cars and roads are imported, not Chinese. There is no lack of technical exhibits explaining what goes on under the hood of a car. But most foreign visitors won't be able to read the explanations. These exhibits too are mostly imported. While Volkswagen is China's biggest car manufacturer. In fact, the VW Santana was a success in China in the 1980s, and finally right next to the Santana is a real-life Chinese car. And here's another one. Matas says many Europeans think Volkswagen taught the Chinese how to build cars, but that's not entirely true. There were earlier joint ventures with U.S. and Russian companies, and in 1974 came the first car completely developed, designed, and built in China, this Hongqi CA770. In 1974, China also brought out its first mass-produced car, the Shanghai. Like this chic, mint green example with the model name SH760A. The Chinese kept building the Shanghai into the 1990s in hardly altered form, but in the end with many parts that were also found in the VW Santana. The rear lights and logo script are very reminiscent of the Volkswagen, as is the steering wheel of this Shanghai SH7221. Almost 80,000 of them were built. This convertible with a raised back seat was intended more for mass rallies than for the mass market. Of course, Chinese transportation is inconceivable without motorcycles and bicycles. You have to look hard to find Chinese cars in the Shanghai Auto Museum. The Chinese auto industry is simply not as big as the European or American, but this museum offers a fascinating array of exhibits and a very thorough overview of automotive history.